What have you been doing in the time you've been here, and how have you been able to try and pick up the team after the defeat in Sweden?
I think the hard work this week is more on the mental side rather than the physical. And you know, the game in Sweden served the purpose. We knew where we were physically with the team. We knew that a lot of the guys hadn't really played for a month, but we wanted rather than arrange a second friendly, we'd rather have the time to work with them on the pitch, time that we don't normally get. So when you do that, then you know you sacrifice a little bit of game time, but we felt that was a better way to go for us. So you know, the game against Sweden, you're always disappointed to lose, of course you are, and we weren't quite where we have been in the past, and probably that's the first time in 2 years where we've been under par. But that's my fault. I arranged the game. I knew it would be tough. I was asking for a big test for the players. They needed it. They needed a game like that, and they needed to have the minutes on the pitch, regardless of what the result was going to be. And again, you don't want to lose. You don't like losing, but they needed that on the pitch. But you know, this group, I said after the game, there's one reason why we're sitting here in the first place, and that's because of them. And that's not because we've won a one-off game of football. It was a 10-game hard campaign where they produced the business, and they proved they're good enough to be here. So we wouldn't read too much into the disappointment in Sweden. You know, we got out of it, apart from the result, we got out of it the things that we really needed for the players. That was minutes on the pitch, a real stern, hard test against a hard, tough team. But everybody in the camp, you know, the mood's high. You'd expect it to be. We're super excited to be here. The people of Dinard have been absolutely fantastic, and the welcome that we've had. We're pretty psyched at the moment.
Chris, with just 4 days, it seems extraordinary saying 4 days until the first game. Injuries do take on a greater proportion. Can you update us on Joe Ledley with his recovery from the leg, Joe Allen, and Hal Robson-Kanu?
Yeah, all three players came through sessions yesterday, fully integrated with the rest of the squad. So it's positive news. Of course, we're monitoring them daily, but today, as we speak, all three players are good. Of course, lacking game time, but physically, they look very, very good. They've trained with the squad, and we expect them to be with us again tomorrow. So if this situation stays the same, the three will be available for the weekend.
Just another question, Chris, before I pass on. In terms of being here in France, what has changed? You've been in camp in Portugal, in Cardiff, you've been to Sweden. What changes now you're actually in France?
I just think we've got to... We know what the expectations are on us as a group, as a team, as a country. But what we've tried to do with the players is remind them why we're here, as I said at the start. Remind them what they're good at, what got us here in the first place. You know, I think people will come out with different ideas after the weekend, after the defeat in Sweden. And sometimes when you have a defeat, you look for loads of different intricate excuses about what happened. But it's very simple. We know what happened. So there's no complacencies. You know, we know exactly what happened. The players know why it happened. Also, they know why we're here, like I said. So we're just making sure that they remember what they're all about, what we're all about, and what we are good at is meeting challenges. When we're 100% mentally and physically where we need to be, we're a good team. We know that. That's what we're about. So it's just this week really reiterating to the players what the strengths are, why we're here. Enjoy this. This is what we've worked for, you know. I said before we come out, it's not a time to sit back and enjoy the moment. And I meant sit back and just, doesn't matter what happens. We still need to enjoy it in terms of we've earned it. We've earned it. And the problem is this week and next week, it'll come and go. It'll come and go, you know. So let's make sure we work as hard as we can. We remember how good we can be. remember what's got us here in the first place, and we just go and put that into the challenge, put that practice into the challenge, and then afterwards what will be will be. So like I said at the start, everybody's very positive. I'm very excited.
Chris, you said about all three players joining training with the group yesterday. Is the key with Joe Allen, the first time with Joe Ledley, sorry, has he faced physical contact? In other words, has he had someone like James Collins going straight through him, testing the injury?
I think we'd all be a test for all of us, James Collins, going through you. He's been on the pitch, he's been involved with the rest of the team, he's been doing everything the rest of the team have been doing. Of course, with that injury, then if you get a kick directly on it, that's a question. But in terms of all the physical aspects, he's done exactly the same session as the rest of the players. Same duration, everything's the same as the rest of the players have done. So at the moment, he's good.
Next question. Well,
mentally, what's the shift the players have to make now they're here? How do you flick that switch? Bear in mind that form hasn't been so good, obviously the disappointment in Sweden. What's different for them mentally on Saturday?
The big barrier we have to get over is we're in new surroundings in terms of we're at a level where we've never been. But football being football, I said earlier, time comes and goes, and you can't rest in the past, and that works both ways. We've not been sitting on, didn't we do well, haven't we done well? We're the only team to ever have qualified. Equally, I won't let anybody remind my players or keep reminding them of, because we had one little slip up at the weekend. So we can't beat them over the head with that. Gone, done, finished. That result at the weekend's not, whatever it was, we could have won 3-0. That's not going to guarantee us anything this weekend. So forget anybody's form coming into this tournament. You'll see teams who are in great form, winning games, nosediving, first game, second game. Seen it before, it'll happen again. When the bell tolls at the weekend, when the whistle goes, we've just got to make sure we've got our ducks in a row, we know what we're doing, and I'm sure we will do. We know it's a tough test against a very tough Slovakian team who will probably be favourites because, they're a good team. They've been getting some great results. And if you look at the 4 teams in the group, then we are the underdogs. We knew that before we got to the tournament, but doesn't mean to say we can't get enough points that we need to progress, because we're capable of that. We know that. But I don't really look at what's happened before. Equally, I know why we're here. I know what we're capable of. But what's coming in front of us is something we've never ever experienced, and we need to do that. And we need to look at it in a positive light, and it's a huge challenge for us. It's one we've deserved. We deserve all this intrusion and all this pressure. We deserve it. We've been asking for it long enough. Now we can't say, oh, it's a little bit, this is what we've been screaming for. And we've earned it, and we've got to deal with it, and we've got to go and make sure we stamp our authority on this game at the weekend.
yeah, sorry. Caddy.
Chris Carey from beIN Sports. Hello.
Hi.
You've arrived. It's a very different thing from going to the Friends Stadium. You've arrived at a major tournament. This is impressive. The team bus, the welcome arrival. What's your players' reaction been to it?
Well, we arrived late on Sunday night, so we were a bit disappointed, of course, because we just lost the game. But we arrived, it was probably midnight. But the welcome we got was fantastic, really nice at the hotel. And all the local people were there to welcome us, cheered us up a little bit. It was nice. And as much as you try to focus on the training element and the game coming up, you still have to look around and enjoy the surroundings, because it means something, It means we have arrived at a tournament, and we need to savour that, because, like I said, the time will come and go. And what we don't want to be doing is afterwards thinking, we should have been ourselves, and rather than trying to be something we're not, just be ourselves. We need to be ourselves. We need to enjoy all this, all the razzmatazz that comes with tournament football. Keep our focus on ourselves, on our game plan. keep our focus on the challenge in front of us, and just savor all the time that we're here. Work as hard as we can, and everything will be okay.
Gareth is going to be the centre of attention for the world's media, but in a sense, having him in a dressing room at a club with Real Madrid, for which expectations are the highest, how helpful is that?
Yeah, I think he's used to all this. If you've been playing in Champions League, if you're playing for Real Madrid, then every week, is a circus, isn't it? He can't. Everywhere he walks, he's got one of these in his face, and cameras everywhere. He's used to that. Of course, that's a help for us, for some of the guys. I'm quite sure his experience will come in handy to speak with some of the younger guys in the squad, and some of the lads. Some of our players are play championship football. One or two a little bit lower than that they've been playing, so they won't be used to all of this. So it's nice to have somebody like that that's at the other end with all the attention and all the pressure. And he's a good example of how to handle it, and just not get carried away. You should never get carried away anyway, whether you're playing really poorly and losing, and everybody's got a comment to make and everybody's criticising you, or you're playing very, very well and everybody's giving you a pat on the back, because you're neither there or there really. Just stay in the middle. It's always a safe ground, and that's it's an unrealistic world, the football world, where people will make you feel like you're the king and actually you're not, or they make you feel like you're nothing and you're not that either. So you just stay in the safe ground, know what you are, who you are, and Gareth Bale's a perfect example of that. He doesn't get carried away either side of it, and he'll be a good example to the rest of our lads.
In a sense, does that Sweden match tempered the excitement? Is it time for this team to get excited about being here right now?
I think they found it tough because they know what's coming. They've known what's coming for a long time. So then we meet up and we have a tough week's training in Portugal. We have another tough week in Cardiff. We know we've got the Sweden game, which served a purpose for us. We got a disappointing result out of it. But in sport, sooner or later you're going to get disappointment. It's going to happen. Discouragement is going to come your way. That's just the nature of, especially football. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to play great every game. And when it comes your way, that little bit of disappointment, then you have to deal with it properly, and you have to not make excuses, and you have to remember what's made you good in the first place. And you learn a lot more actually out of a defeat than you do out of a victory. So, but like I said at the start of this interview, we know what our players are capable of. We know what they can do. They need some reminders of that, and they need to be confident. They deserve to be confident. They deserve to look at this next challenge at the weekend as a game in which, like I said, they've earned all that pressure. And it's just, nothing's changed on the pitch, we've only got the one referee and one football, 11v11 in the main. So once all that's died down, what's happening before the game and all the interest, once the whistle goes, it's us against them. It's another game of football in which we need to make sure we do very, very well in. So once we keep our concentration on that, because that's all that matters. That's all we need to think about is this weekend. And they'll be ready for that. They're relaxed at the moment. We had a tough day yesterday, tough day training, especially for the guys who didn't play on Sunday. We put them through their paces, but their attitude was first class. It's all geared up. It's all geared up for this game of the weekend.
And just finally, the Foreign Office have made a statement to fans to be vigilant of fan zones because they are a target of terrorists. That really does bring things home to fans probably travelling here. But for anyone who's been here, like the media and yourself over the last week, what's your experience of the security and how safe you're feeling here?
Where we are is fantastic. We know there's a lot of security because there needs to be, but it's not like we feel like we've been penned in, or we don't feel like we haven't got that cabin fever. I know some teams talk about that. We haven't had that feeling. The security, we know they're there, we sense they're there, but it's relaxed where we are. I'm glad to say, and whenever we play away from home, we're always you know, we're always worried about our fans' safety. You know, we have to be, and everybody's safety. So of the fact that, you know, we're in a major tournament and there's a lot being said on terrorists and things like that, unfortunately, and that's just not just football, that's society as a whole nowadays. You know, we have to get used to that, unfortunately. But I can't say there's a feeling of that here where we are. It's a relaxed feeling. It's a nice feeling. It's positive. And like I said at the start, that's largely down to the people of Dinard who have welcomed us to their city, and the atmosphere is absolutely brilliant.
Any more questions before we break out? John, get in.
Chris, just staying on the security issue, just how different is it? Obviously, you speak to the players and you speak to them about things, but just how different is it compared with maybe a normal international game? And what have you had to say to the squad about, listen, expect police here, expect them there, expect them not necessarily to smile at you, that kind of thing? What has been the advice you've been giving to the squad?
We've had to have certain meetings, extra meetings where we wouldn't normally have on the do's and don'ts. And that's just the demands of UEFA. This is some of the things that we've had to talk to the players about. We wouldn't even dream of it, to be honest with you, but we didn't even think about it until we were told we had to talk to the players about it. You know, it's been an eye-opener for all of us, but those are the things we've had to deal with. We've had to do it. They've been very good, the players, in taking it on board. But I've never heard, I'm sure Ross will agree with me, and IG also, around our camp, there's no unusual feeling that, this is, that we're under threat or anything, or it's a real good, it's a relaxed, calm atmosphere where we are. The players are not talking about anything untoward, not that I've heard, not that we've heard. They're pretty relaxed, if I'm honest with you. Like I said, we know the security is there because they have to be there, but it doesn't feel any different. The only difference is if we know we're at a tournament and we can feel that. But in terms of the security, I can't say that we feel any different.
Do you think it justifies your decision to come to Dinard? You look carefully at a number of places. You've got the, it's isolated, probably not quite the correct word, but it's out of the way. It's not a major city centre.
Yeah.
You've got a plane 10 minutes down the road.
Exactly. It's what we wanted, Where we are is beautiful. The hotel is very quiet. The hotel's not open exclusively just to us, but we've pretty much taken over half of it, and it's absolutely fantastic. We've got a good training pitch. Apparently, we spent £6 million, didn't we, on a training pitch? That's incredible, that. Yeah. And we've got a barber for Gareth Bale, I read. That was incredible. I've not seen him yet, the barber, but I'm sure he's there somewhere. No, it's fantastic where we are. It's, we were sitting there with the staff yesterday after we'd done all our jobs. We were having a nice coffee, it was very quiet, and it's what we need. The training pitch 5 minutes, the airport's 10 minutes, everything's there. Because when the weekend comes, it's going to be madness, we know that. But then we can come back from that to where we stay, and it's calm, and that's what we're going to need. No, we've been really, really excited and really happy with our surroundings.
Just when you should go in cwestiwn yn Gymraeg I Os i orffen, Owain?
Ie, Osian. Da ni wedi bod am ffits with Joe Allen, Joe Ledley a Hal Robson cael nhw yn barod. Be di'r diwedd am y tri?
Ie, mae'r tri yn ôl yn ymarfer yn llawn amser efo gweddill y garfan. Felly mae hynny'n newyddion da. Mae nhw wedi gweithio'n eithriadol o galad. Ac mae'r tîm meddygol wedi gweithio'n eithriadol o galad hefo nhw hefyd am rai wythnosau. Felly newyddion da bod y tri yn mynd I fod ar gael ar gyfer y penwythnos.
Yn sicr, bydd y tri felly ar gael ar gyfer y gem yn erbyn Slovacia. Bydd y tîm dechrau yn y cwestiwn?
Wel, dyna bydd y dyddiau nesaf yma. Dyna byddwn ni'n fesur ei bwyso cyn bydd Chris yn dewis y tîm wrth gwrs. Ond y peth pwysig oedd bod y tri yn cael drwy'r wythnos dwytha yma, yn cael yr ymarfer I mewn, ond hefyd yn integreiddio I mewn efo gweddill y garfan fel fod nhw yn holliach ac yn barod I chwarae. Felly, yn sicr, mae'r tri ar gael I ddechrau, ond ar hyn o bryd, wrth gwrs, mae gyda ni dipyn o waith pendroni I wneud.
Okay, Osh said things completely different to Chris, but there we are. No. It was the same in English and Welsh, I can assure you, so I won't translate. We will break out for interviews. Just one thing, it's great to see the winners of Cwpan y Bobl here.
Oh, well done.
Congratulations, llongyfarchiadau. It was the Cwpan y Bobl is People's Cup in Welsh, and they competed in Wales. They're playing in the final tonight at Dinard FC, the women and the men. I think one. But great to see you here, and as part of the prize was to be at the press conference, be tomorrow at the open day and to play here. So it's great to see you, and I hope you enjoy it. And you know, fantastic. Enjoy the experience and well done.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.